What is the most obvious lie you have ever been told? When a coworker told my own story back to me as his own. Twice. I had a friend do this once. He was hanging out with a large group of my friends that he hardly knew, and my best friend, still my best friend too, love that beeper, just went, "Wow, it's so crazy you had verbatim the exact same childhood story that Jason has told us all before. Right down to the small town in Kansas where it happened, and the color drained straight out of his face. Didn't say a word to me for like 3 days. Dude turned out to be a pathological liar on many levels. Very strange to think how I spent 4 years of high school with someone lying straight to my face constantly and didn't realize it until that moment. I speak French, though I'm losing it from lack of use. But one of my college guy friends started dating a girl from France. He was all excited because she could talk to me in her native language and I could help translate. So he brought her to a party at my sorority house and introduced us. I greeted her in French with a very simple bonjour, bienvenue, comment of va, which is just hi, welcome, how are you, blank stare and red face in response. She then said, in what I thought was a kind of strange accent, that she's sorry. She didn't understand me. I looked at the guy and said, I thought you told me she was French. Because maybe she was a different nationality, and he was confused. He looked at her and she just turned and left. He followed, then returned a bit later and said he had caught up to her, and she started screaming at him in perfect Midwestern accented English that he was a jerk for setting her up to look like a fool. He had genuinely been excited that he could introduce her to someone she could talk to, so he was blown away by her accusations and then angry that she lied. She apparently felt faking an accent would make her more appealing or something. I would see her around on campus after that, but she avoided me like the plague. TBH. I felt bad for her. But if you're going to fake it, at least pick a country with a language you can speak. Reminds of that post where the guy has been faking an AUS accent for all of college. But is screwed. BC, he wants to marry his GF that thinks he's Australian. When I was a public defender, my DipsPeep client called up his victim from the jail phone the night before his trial. He said kill repeatedly in an attempt to intimidate her. When I was telling him how stupid this was, his excuse was that he was watching Kill Bill and someone changed the channel on the cell block communal TV. That dumbass is now doing 28 years in prison. My first watch was an Omega and I saved up on high school to get it. One of my good friends back then asked to wear it for one period and would give it back at lunch. He begged and begged, so as a HS kid I gave in, or couldn't keep saying no, I guess. Weak on me. Obviously. Well. He smashed it, apparently smashed the glass to test it, gave it back and said it was a fake and that's why the glass cracked, and said he didn't do it and it just fell apart. Asshole became a medical doctor and is now involved in politics and holds state office. I'm still pissed about the watch he never admitted he broke cause he was salty and jealous. Dickhead then. Dickhead now. When I was a kid, the internet wasn't a thing, so my friends were whoever happened to live in the neighborhood. One kid was a well-known liar and exaggerator. We were maybe 14 years old at this time. This kid could play guitar and was always talking himself up about it and talking about his band. He actually could play. But his band did not exist. One day, I called him at his house. From my house. I don't remember what it was about. But a few minutes into the conversation, told me, by the way, I'm in Florida with my band. Just out of the blue. This was before even pagers were a common thing. I called him. At his house. I just said something like, okay. And ended the conversation. I then proceeded to tell all the other kids in the neighborhood. My friend told me that getting a Peloton changed her life. I looked up her workout stats and she had used it 4 times in 5 months of owning it. Her husband fared a little better with using it 9 times. Don't know why this annoyed me so much. My little girl told everyone in the supermarket that our cat died and she was sad. We don't own a cat. In 5th grade, a friend of ours used to try to convince us he used to hang out with the band Sublime. Among other stuff, he said that he was the person featured on the cover of their self-titled album and he used to do drugs with them and even tried heroin once. We were f***ing 11 years old and he claimed this all happened 2 years before he even moved to our school. So yeah, a f***ing 9-year-old did all this wild speep. We constantly called bulls peep but he would just continue to lie and make up more stuff. We stopped hanging out with him because he was so full of speep. When I was 15, I had a friend that tried to tell me the exact same story. What if Sublime was just hanging out with children? What if it's the same friend? My mom after 11-year-old me accidentally destroyed her favorite vase by throwing my brother's stuffed animals around the living room. I'm not mad. When my friend was an infant, her mother put her 2-year-old sibling in her crib while the mom left the room briefly. When mom came back, my friend was crying and had teeth marks on her forehead. When mom asked the older sibling what happened, she calmly said, "She bit herself." A childhood friend and I met up for coffee one day after not meeting for a few years. He casually let it slip that ever since he earned a black belt he has had to register with the state as a human weapon. I did brush my teeth. I swear. This toothbrush. Bone dry. So we agree that this is your toothbrush? Dad. I did not lie. I said that I brushed my teeth. I never specified that I brushed my teeth tonight. And if the court reporter reads back my remarks, you will see that I did not perjure myself. The company is in a great shape, so don't pay any attention to rumors about financial trouble. Haha, been there. Don't worry. The order book is full. We're in great shape. 1 week later I'm made redundant and 2 weeks later the company folded. I can finish the civ game tonight. As a tax accountant, I'm told lies about how much money people actually made all the time during tax season. My favorite was a guy telling me he's broke because he only makes 35,000/year in NYC, so my very reasonable fee is too much for him. He says this after he asks me if he can deduct the new BMW 5 Series he just bought his son all cash. When my little brother mixed like 50 condiments, including sprinkles, ketchup, cereal and stuff, into a bag of popcorn and ate it, telling us it was delicious when his face looked like he'd just ate 10 extremely sour warheads at once. He later admitted he just wanted us to eat it, but we never did. One time my little brother tried to make me a sandwich just to be nice, but said sandwich was just chocolate chips cookies covered in mustard between 2 pieces of bread. He clearly wanted to see how I'd react and I of course refused to eat it. He told our mom I was being rude, and the worst part was after she actually saw the sandwich she still said I was supposed to humor him. I just threw it away and told both no. My ex told me he was in a car accident. Totaled his car. Broke a few ribs. He was trying to get sympathy so I would get back together with him, blaming the accident on me, since he was distracted after the breakup. He sent me a photo of his car smashed in. I Google searched it. First pic of his make/model that was wrecked. He formulated the story after the picture. But here's the deal. The wheels didn't match. So I drove by his house that evening. Car was fixed and in his driveway. Oh yes. I paid the shop extra to get me in today, so I could have my car to come see you if you wanted me to. Ha ha ha, bro. Loyalty to a company would be repaid. When I was a teenager I worked at a grocery store, which went under and was in the process of being bought by a new one. We were told during this process that our loyalty would be rewarded and would all get to keep our jobs and whatnot. I hated that job anyway and ditched it for a different one. But it turns out that after about a week or so they just fired everyone and sold it to a bigger grocery chain. We will keep your resume on hand and let you know if any other positions open up. As a recent graduate job searching, it hurts. I was picking up a sofa from a guy I found on Kijiji and he stopped me right before leaving to see if I wanted to buy a mirror he was also looking to get rid of. I wasn't really interested, but my wife seemed keen, so we stopped in the hallway to check it out. He said it was a gift from my son-in-law. It's a beautiful mid-century antique. I'll let it go for $75. He went on about what an amazing mirror it was and even told me pick it up and feel how sturdy it is. I picked it up, it was really heavy actually, and took a peek at the back and saw a sticker from Value Village with a $30 price tag. I kinda chuckled to myself and asked if he would go any lower than $75. He said I really couldn't. Then I said, well, I can see a tag from Value Village on the back here. We ended up getting the mid-century antique mirror for $15 and me and my wife still laugh about the amazing deal we got on it. Reminds of when I did custom framing for a retail store and a woman came in with a painted piece she wanted reframed. She went on how it was very valuable and how I better be careful. Her great-grandmother painted it. You know. It's the last painting she has by her. I'm 90% sure she was planning on complaining no matter how carefully we reframed it so that she could say we damage her priceless artwork and get the frame for free. When I peeled back the backing paper to take it out of the frame, there was still a faded clearance $14.99 tag on the back. LMAO. Woman looked like she bit into a lemon. My brother told me I was a dragon and I totally believed him. Man, I was a dumb kid. But now I'm a dumb adult. It wasn't me. Honey came in and she caught me red-handed, creeping with the girl next door. I had a friend in college who was a serial liar. Just all kinds of crazy things. That must have satisfied some psychological need. All of it harmless. He told me he developed a theory on how to bend light passing through air and pitched the idea to the physics department, which set up an experiment and proved his theory to be true. He was a general studies major. I kept pressing him, well, which professor was it? How did the experiment work? Etc. Just kept digging deeper and changing the subject. Your call is important to us. Listen carefully as our options have recently changed. My son takes every opportunity to get naked. It's a struggle to get him to even wear underpants half the time. We found him sat around naked one time and asked him where his pants had gone. Bees came in through the window and stole his pants. Lying little speep, everyone knows that's it's gnomes who steal underwear. I dated a girl who was a pathological liar. I didn't know it was actually a thing. When my dad originally told me about it, I thought he was exaggerating. After leaving the relationship, I realized how ridiculous the lies were and how stupid I was for believing them, but I guess that saying blinded by love is also true. Among the lies, one time she called out of work because, according to her, she was on her parents' boat out in the ocean and the boat ran out of gas. So they had to call a friend to come rescue her and her family and tow them to shore. I found out later it was actually because she had a party and was wasted. She met Donald Trump. This was back in like 2013, and his associates in Atlantic City. They invited her and her friend to join them as they drove around Atlantic City visiting his casino and eating the best food and drinking top-shelf drinks. She didn't have to pay for anything. She got mono when we were dating. But I was fine. She said it was anxiety-induced mono according to the doctor, which is why I didn't have it. This was around the same time she told me that she met some guy at a party that was hitting on her, but she didn't hook up with him, and then I found out a week later she did. She was previously engaged. But she called off the engagement. This is actually true, and went to the pawn shop to pawn off her engagement ring and used the money to buy alcohol. She totaled 3 cars in her lifetime. But she was able to convince the insurance company it wasn't her fault and basically got a free car replacement each time. I did not feed your dog any human food, my mom. While my dog pukes and speeps all over my house. I feel good enough today. For flight training. Anytime you fly you have to sign off that you are physically and mentally fit to fly. This means you have eaten in the past 6 hours. Had a 10-hour rest period including 6 to 8 hours of sleep no longer than 16 hours ago and that you do not have any excessive outside stresses. People lie about this all the time. Does it count if the person believed me because I told someone the world was in black and white until the first nuclear explosions? My friend said he had a body count of 200. He was a slightly fat guy who spends all his free time on video games and hates to leave his apartment. Someone once told my own story back to me. I told them something funny that happened to me. And 6 mo's later they told me back my own story. Only that it happened to them. Blue fire is cold. My classmate was watching videos during online class while she was unmuted and said it was a math video. We were in health class. In the early 90s I was at work making 5/hour. And a coworker looked me straight in the eye and said he had bought a surface-to-air missile from China and kept it stored at his mom's house in a different city. WTF dude? That's not even close to believable. When I was 16 I'd had a crush on one of my coworkers. And he'd liked me back. I thought things were going good until I asked him if he wanted to go out on our shared day off. He agreed. And then the day of cancelled and told me it was because he needed to take care of his fish. Plot twist here is that I told a few of my friends. 2 of which worked with me and the guy. And I went on and on about how rude it is of him to not even give me a believable lie. Those friends were all hanging out and went to Walmart that day. And ran into my food and supplies for his fish. He told them how excited he was about the fish too. I felt like the biggest asshole. You're the best I've ever hate undefined. I met someone who told me that he drank too much with his friends. Had an alcohol overdose. And died. After he died his friends threw him under a bed where he rotted for 3 days before coming back to life, and if I didn't believe him I could ask his friends. I haven't seen him since. Bro, you met Jesus. There are horny singles in my area. We love you both equally. I told this lie as a 3-yo to my mom. I was coloring the wall in the hallway with my bunny stuffed animal in my hand. I wasn't much of a rule breaker, so this one really stuck to my mom. My mom coming into the hallway. What did you do? Me. Looks at Bunny. Bunny did that? Mom. Well then tell Bunny that he shouldn't do that anymore because now we have to repaint the wall and that's not nice. Me. Looks at Bunny. Bunny, you really can't do that? That's not nice. Meanwhile I still had the markers in my other hand undefined. An employee of mine took a half day off so he could attend a parent-teacher conference in the afternoon. He was supposed to work the morning shift. But then called last minute saying that it had all been bumped up and he couldn't come in the morning. Then he kept saying that the meeting was getting dragged out all day. Finally showing up around 4 p.m. He insisted that the school had bumped his appointment up to 10 a.m. All the while forgetting that he was wearing a visitor's badge sticker on his shirt that clearly said checked in 2 p.m. My supervisor was pissed off at me after we had some issues and she told me, "Excuse me, I want to go to the toilet," while she truly went to release her anger to other co-workers. She should have taken them farther for I could hear her. Stupid. That elected politicians are in public service. This girl I used to be friends with told a lie about something we did together. In front of me. Pretty obvious we didn't do it, haha. I only had 1 beer. My dealer. On my way. Joe Biden won the election. The Democrats stole the election. Size doesn't matter. It does. I woke up drunk in his dorm room. But nothing happened. I still convinced myself to buy it at the time. A week later she broke up with me. And a week after that she was dating that specific guy. The left stole the election. You're a valuable asset to our company. My friend told me in second grade that his cousin was a scientist and can make potions that give people superpowers. Close to Easter that year, we let him apparently put the potion on the marshmallows we got from the teacher. I was meant to be greeted with a six-pack the next day. Since I was an impressionable kid, though my skinny torso looked like I had gotten ripped, but he then said that it will take a while for it to really work. I'm fat now. Thanks, friend. There are no aliens. My 13-year-old sister telling the school that we both went to that the reason her math homework wasn't done was because our parents were killed in the Twin Towers 9/11 attacks. We live in Texas. Joe Biden got more African American votes than Barack Obama. Followed closely by Joe Biden received 81 million votes. Parents telling that study today and you can have all the fun after getting a job. Santas came while you were playing outside with your brother and cousins.